Good morning, beloved ones. I'm Nicolette Toussaint, pronouns she and her. We open this morning with the words of Unitarian and suffragette Julia Ward Howe. She wrote this piece in 1870 in the wake of two wars, the American Civil War and the Franco-Prussian War. Its original name was Appeal to Womanhood Throughout the World. We know it better as the Mother's Day Proclamation. Arise then, women of the world. Arise, all of you who have a heart. Whether your baptism be of water or of tears, say firmly, we will not have questions answered by irrelevant agencies. Our husbands will not come to us reeking of carnage, seeking applause and caresses. Our sons shall not be taken from us to unlearn all we have taught them of charity, mercy, and patience. We, the women of one country, will be too tender of the women of any other country to allow our sons to be trained to injure theirs. From a devastated earth, the cry goes up, disarm, disarm. The sword of murder is not the balance of justice. Blood does not wipe out dishonor, nor does violence indicate possession. Just as men have so often forsaken the plow and the anvil to answer the summons of war, let women now leave what is ever left of home and move toward a great and earnest day of counsel. Let them meet first as women to bewail and commemorate the dead. Let them solemnly take counsel of one another, seeking out the means whereby the great human family can live in peace, each bearing in her own time the sacred impress not of Caesar, but of God. In the name of womanhood, in the name of humanity, I earnestly ask that a General Congress of Women, a Congress without limits of nationality, may be appointed and may be held at some place deemed convenient at a time, the earliest time consistent with its objects being to promote the alliance of different nationalities, the amicable settlement of international questions, and the great and general interests of peace.
Good morning, and welcome to the Boulder Valley Unitarian Universalist Fellowship. I am Paul Gibb. I'm joined today by Pastor AJ Blackwood and Carmen Sandim at the piano and Amy Austin, song leader. Whether you're joining us in person or online, we are so glad you're here. We hope you feel the welcome and love of this fellowship surrounding you. The QR code on our screen will take you to an order of service for this morning. Our book for sharing joys and concerns is near the main doors of the sanctuary. You're welcome to write a brief personal note in it, and please mark whether you would like it to be read aloud later in the service. If you'd like a lay pastoral care associate or neighborhood connector to get in touch with you, please add your contact information. You may do that at any time until the book is brought up here toward the end of the service. If you're new here, Whether you're with us in person or virtually, we are glad you found us and hope that you will experience the warmth and love of this community. May we all find ourselves reflected in these words of welcome. When I give this signal at the end, please rise and say, "You are welcome here today," loudly. You are welcome here today in all the beauty of languages, ages, cultures, skin tones, shapes and sizes, gifts and challenges that come together in your uniqueness. In all the ways you experience and express gender, and in the beauty that is who you love and how you love, in all the ways you make your living and the places you are from, with all of the traditions that inform your spiritual life. No matter how long you are away, nor how soon you will return, whether you come with laughter in your hearts or tears, and you are invited to join us with a curious mind, a loving heart, and a willing spirit. So I say with me, you are welcome here today. And you can now turn to one or more of your neighbors and say, you are welcome here.
I have a couple little parts today's service, and I'm already lost. I can't see. As we light our chalice this morning, we're reminded that our chalice is a connection to Unitarian Universalists throughout time and space. Our chalice was first introduced to us during World War II and right before as a means to celebrate and to let people know that our homes, our sanctuaries, our spaces were safe for Jews and others who were fleeing the Nazis. It is a symbol of freedom. And so as we light our chalice, or we ask you if you are at home to please light your chalice with us and along with us, and Paul is lighting as we say these words together. We light this chalice with the warmth of love, light of truth, and the energy of action. I invite our singing bowl to ground us in a time of reflection as Paul shares with us a message that reminds us that Memorial Day is not just a day to memorialize those who have died during war, but those who live with the struggle after.
Carl Sandburg wrote a very memorable poem that you may have heard or read. It's called Grass. Pile the bodies high at Austerlitz and Waterloo. Shovel them under and let me work. I am the grass. I cover all. And pile them high at Gettysburg, and pile them high at Ypres and Verdun. Shovel them under and let me work. 2 years, 10 years, and passengers asked the conductor, "What place is this? Where are we now?" I am the grass. Let me work. Memorial Day is generally described as a day to honor those U.S. soldiers and sailors who died because of injuries protracted during a war. But I think we could go a little farther and also look at the deep psychological and physical injuries that so many soldiers and sailors developed during a war that allowed some of them to stay alive for years, but to be only half alive for most or all of those years. What would it feel like to be a soldier in combat? Even if you were lucky enough to survive physically, wouldn't it be possible you'd have emotional wounds and probably also physical wounds for the rest of your life? In 1965, when I was temporarily out of college and told I would probably be drafted in a few months and probably sent to Vietnam, I went to the U.S. Coast Guard's recruiting station in Boston, expecting that being in the Coast Guard would keep me out of Vietnam. I told them I would like to be in the Coast Guard reserves, but was told there were no openings in the reserves, but I could still sign up in the regulars. I decided on the spot that 4 years of being along the U.S. coast would still be better than going to Vietnam. So I was within 15 seconds of signing my name on an application for the Coast Guard regulars when another recruiter came up and said, "Well, something just opened up in the reserves." So I put down my pen, thank God, and shortly after that signed up for the reserves. What I did not know was that if I had been in the Coast Guard regulars, guess where I might have ended up? On the front of a PT boat on the Mekong or other Vietnamese river, shooting and being shot at by the Vietnamese. Coast Guard regulars were sent to Vietnam and had some of the highest mortality rates there. And what would have happened to me psychologically? If I had survived, I would be terribly torn by, on the one hand, feeling terribly guilty for shooting innocent Vietnamese people who were merely defending their country, and on the other hand, feeling thankful that I shot them before they shot me and the rest of my crew. Would I ever have gotten over it? Would I be, in some ways, only half alive? My father worked for the Manhattan Project during World War II at a facility that experimented with different ways to process uranium and plutonium. The facility had a major fire, and still today, in 2026, its location is full of radiation and is a Superfund site. Because of his exposure to radiation, he spent the rest of his life fearing that he didn't have more than another 5 or 10 years to live. And he seldom smiled or laughed, and was addicted to just about everything. And he never hugged me or said, "Love you," but spanked me hundreds of times. And he was constantly defensive about what he had helped to create, especially since his wife, my mother, was an anti-nuclear activist. And Claude Etherly, the Air Force commander who gave the command to drop the atomic bombs on Hiroshima and Nagasaki, spent the entire rest of his life unable to get over his guilt for what he had done, and he spent most of the rest of his life in a mental hospital. What if I had helped create a weapon that may have stopped a horrible war, but might also have led in the future to destroying all life on the planet? Would I have needed to keep reminding myself of the short-term positive outcome in order to stop feeling guilty about having helped create something with a possible nightmarish outcome. Just in the same way as if I had been shot by some Vietnamese soldiers along the Mekong River, would I have been spending the rest of my life had I survived, constantly reminding myself that I saved my life and the lives of other Americans on the boat. Our fellowship member, Larry Laverdier, wrote a poem that really touches me. It's called Nobody Wins. Here it is. Flags flapping in the breeze, heroes and homeless crowd our streets with cardboard petitions, haunting the healthy with visions of gritty, grimy ruin. The ultimate ennui of the unlucky. We say they're shiftless louts, we think weak, but we wonder. We say they're crazy and no doubt have made errors of judgment. Maybe this one was at war, and war bled him like a stain, indelible on the brain, left him forever unsure, even after soaking it in bleach or booze for months or more. Battles have a way of wounding both victims and victors. Who pays for our sins and all the collaterally damaged lives and limbs? Flags flapping in the breeze, we fear him because he wakes our conscience from its slumber, while heroes and homeless crowd our streets. We are sleepless, tormented with cardboard petitions. I read his cardboard sign with care, surprised to find our names are there. And just remember to tell yourself, as I have told myself many times, it could have been me. And let us not forget that by far the majority of soldiers did not go to war voluntarily. They were drafted. And except for the 2 world wars and for a brief time in the late 1960s when there was a draft lottery, college students seldom had to serve. In other words, being part of an educated elite that would be most likely to go on to higher paying jobs, for many years made a person less likely to be pulled into involuntary military service. And when draft deferments ended during the Vietnam War and were replaced by a draft lottery, how many of us might have been drafted if our number had been called up? Consciously or unconsciously, we can all too easily look down on those souls, forgetting to see them as hapless victims of humanity's penchant for polarization and retaliation. They were not monsters. They were humans like us, the beloved sons and daughters of mothers and fathers like ours. But the truth is also that many of these veterans actually did help create something, namely the future of our country during the many intervals of time when that future was uncertain. In some but not all of the wars, they kept us from coming under the control of a Hitler or Hirohito or another horrible dictator. May we thank them for our freedom and our lives, both those who died during a war and those who survived a war but were only half alive, physically and or psychologically. Those who died in the wars obviously experienced great physical pain, but at least they did not have to spend the rest of their lives trying to erase any guilt or psychological pain. And many of those who died during the wars would never have found out whether or not what they had done had possibly saved our country from a Hitler or a Hirohito. And they would never again have seen their loved ones or their close friends. Let us recognize their terrible guilt and pain, and let us be thankful to them for whatever part they may have played in winning those wars, at least the ones that partially freed slaves and or kept our country from being taken over by another country's horrible dictator. And as Larry's poem reminds us, just remember to tell yourself, it could have been me. These veterans deserve our love and our praise and our forgiveness for any imperfections. We need to see deeply enough into their bodies and souls to see their pain and to know that they need our love and acceptance, even if they were doing things that you and I might believe shouldn't have been done. They had little choice.
We're going to sing What Wondrous Love, which is in your gray hymnal on page 18, or the words are up here. Would you rise, of body and spirit, and join me? What wondrous love is this, O my soul, O my soul? What wondrous love is this, O my soul? What wondrous love is this that brings my heart such bliss and takes away the pain of my soul, and takes away the pain of my soul. When I was sinking down, sinking down, sinking down, when I was sinking down, sinking down, when I was sinking down beneath my sorrow's ground, friends to me gathered round. Oh my soul, friends to me gathered round. Oh my soul, to love and to all friends I will sing, I will sing. To love and to all friends I will sing. To love and to all friends, who pain and sorrow mend, with thanks unto the end, I will sing, I will sing. With thanks unto the end, I will sing.
We are a community of people who come together in love and support each other. Part of being in this community is by sharing our resources, our time, talent, and treasure. As a community, we are taken care of in a variety of ways. I want to say thank you to Carmen Sandim and Amy Austin for leading our wonderful music, and the tech team, who many don't see, but who do an incredible amount of work in the background, is Mary Hedges, Kathy Partridge, and Deborah Minch. Each week, as part of our ministry to the greater community around us, we share our offering plate with organizations that share our values. Today, the half plate is for clinical family health and wellness, which has now merged with mental health partners. We will be sharing our plate with a newly formed organization which provides comprehensive mental, physical, and oral care, serving Boulder, Broomfield, Gilpin, and Adams counties. Since 1962, Mental Health Partners was the region's leading nonprofit mental health provider. Now, with Clinica, they continue to offer community suicide prevention training monthly, a 24-hour walk-in crisis and addiction center, wellness centers, along with family, child, teen, adult, and elder-focused counseling. Mental Health Partners has provided very major support to some of our members. You can text your donation to the number on the screen or place a donation in the offering plate as it passes. Thank you for your offering to our community. We know it is generously given and gratefully received.
for the work of this fellowship with love, reason, compassion, and justice. And for mental health partners in Clinica, we gratefully receive this offering. So I wanted to offer you some thoughts on, tomorrow, for many of us in my generation, which is known as the first day of summer. Right? I mean, when you were in school and whatnot, it was like, this is what summer kind of means. We'll do. Give me just a minute. I'm going to do my reflection and then we'll do. So, but I wanted to actually do a little bit more reflection on the deeper origin of Memorial Day, or what most of us, maybe some of you remember as Decoration Day. So Memorial Day wasn't actually established until 1971, the year of my birth. Came just a couple weeks after my birth. So, but Memorial Day was something, or Decoration Day was something that was founded in something that was not just about memorializing the dead. It was about giving people hope for freedom. So when Decoration Day first started in the early 1860s, mid-1860s, it was a day that was about celebrating the fact that we were trying to achieve more freedom in this country. It was about specifically, you may or may not know this, it was about specifically formerly enslaved peoples decorating the graves of Union soldiers. Decoration Day. It was about a day where we could look at this country and say, maybe there's more room for more people. Maybe there's more room for more freedom. The day then quickly evolved. And the day became a day where not only formerly enslaved, but also white freed people were joining in the process. This all happened during the war, during the Civil War, right towards the end. And then right after the war, Decoration Day turned a new corner. Because formerly enslaved people then started to decorate also the cemeteries and the graves of Confederate soldiers, their former owners. And I want us to hold that and think about what that means in our spaces. What does it mean when you have a community and a culture that so honors and respects life, that it sees past all of those boundaries? It no longer says we are only going to celebrate or memorialize or hold those we agree with. We are also going to hold those who harmed us. We're also going to hold those who meant to do us harm. And in today's world, that is a message that we as Unitarian Universalists, we as progressives, we as queer, as BIPOC, as gender fluid, as trans, we realize is so relevant today because there are so many out there who are willing to do us harm. And so I ask us to look at Memorial Day or Decoration Day to be a time when we, who are often collectively on the outskirts, when we are the ones who can try to, if not in practicality, at least in thought or ideology or emotion, Remain in that spirit of peace. Remain in that spirit of generosity. Remain in that spirit of love. Because it will destroy us if we don't. We have seen that in this country. We see that today. We look at Christian nationalism, a space where they never got through that breakthrough. And they are attempting to destroy and to pull back on those freedoms. They never reconciled it. They never understood what it meant to, as our new values say, live with love as our center. They never learned culturally and transparent and over time to love and to figure out and to see what it means to love that person, to honor, to respect, to care for their lives when we disagree. And that is what we do as Unitarian Universalists. And that is what I offer to you on this day of decoration tomorrow, this Memorial Day. It isn't just about honoring the dead, but it's honoring, as Paul shared with us, honoring those who are living with the struggle. So many people come back from these spaces where they struggle. Back in the early first Iraq war, there was this whole thing about, well, we're going to resist the military, we're going to resist and we're going to love the soldier. Right? And so I'm going to say to you, it isn't just the soldier, but it's the family. It's the community. It's the hardship that they bring home with them. It's the division in family when you have people on both sides. So I'm going to ask you to just raise that space up, to love it, to care for it. Because that's what we do as Unitarian Universalists. We try to expand the freedom. We try to expand the love. I'm going to ask you to go through and to remember that all of these lives, all of this ceremony that we remember and celebrate and hold on a specific day tomorrow would not have happened if we had not been able to celebrate freedom based and rooted in and given to us by a culture of people who had their freedom removed completely and utterly. They were owned by other people. We celebrate Memorial Day with a parade, an African tradition that was not seen in Northern European culture. You might have seen parades or memorial marches for kings and queens and wealthy and noble people, but you never saw that for the average person. It was black people that brought us that culture. This idea of going back and celebrating and decorating, which some of us do on Memorial Day, but others do for family members, on their birthdays, for Christmas, for holidays. We do these things where we go and celebrate and decorate graves. It comes from a culture that memorializes both those we loved and agreed with and those we didn't. This comes from a culture of people who could have wanted revenge, but instead wanted healing, who gave us a gift that we can never repay. They gave us a gift of desiring freedom for more than themselves, for leaving a legacy of love, of leaving a legacy of generosity. of leaving us with a reminder that every life is valuable. Every life gives us a story that allows us to change. So when I re-ask you to remember Memorial Day, to remember our fallen, I wear this pin I was given a couple weeks ago for Ukraine. But let's also remember the Russian soldiers who give their lives. Let's also remember those around the world who are giving their lives. As Paul said, some of them because it's a choice, but some of them is also because it's a reality of their livelihood, who they are, economics, culture, draft. Not everyone does all these things because they have free choice. And many of our BIPOC, our queer siblings, enter the military because it's a way to get out. It's a way to get an education. It's a way to get out of an unhealthy situation or relationship or family space that they're in today. So I ask you to reflect on all of these things. From the culture that set us up to the world we're in today, where we, and I don't mean that we have to cow down to people who want to oppress us. I'm saying where we engage and respect and we give a little to those who aim to do us harm. That's what our value is when it says we live with love as our center. Can I get an amen? I hope so. I hope we can do this work. Because I'm telling you right now, it's hard. It's really, really hard. I'm dropping everything here. So as we take this time, we enter a sacred time of sharing our joys and concerns. If you're on Zoom, please add your joys and concerns. If you're on Zoom, please add your joys and concerns that you would like us to share. Our Sunday support person this morning is Constance Holden. Constance is wearing the white stole and is waving in the back of the sanctuary and will be available at the welcome desk and available for pastoral care after the service. As we reflect on each of our joys and concerns, Paul will place a stone in the water to symbolize that your concern, your joy, your life story ripples out into this community. It may hold all of these moments in our heart and be received with love. And I will add a concern. Maybe some of you know that there is a chemical leak crisis in Southern California. That is in my old neighborhood. So when Denard and I met, we would both be in those evacuation zones. And to put it in perspective, if you don't know, there's a chemical leak that they're trying to put out. The fire department has basically given up and said it's either going to explode or leak. It is 40,000 people that are being evacuated. So that is 10,000 more than the city of Lafayette, or half the city of Boulder that they're trying to move and transport. I ask that you all hold that in concern, because I do have family and friends in the area that are now being relocated. And then, Paul, if we can add one last stone for the concerns that we hold in our heart, may we be just so generous as to open our heart to those who are with us in spirit, and and not able to maybe or not willing to share at this time anything that is a joy or a concern that they're carrying. Spirit of life, we hold those in our community who are living with health concerns, with those who are caring for our environment, with those who are celebrating transitions of school and space and jobs and careers. We celebrate those who are loving those who are going through all of these transitions and caring for them as their caretakers. We offer love to our larger world community as we hold this world that is at war, that we hold all who are suffering, whether they wear a uniform or not. For the children who are losing their childhoods, for the parents who are losing their children, for the families and friends who are being moved around the world as immigrant, migrant, undocumented. May we hold all of these people in our hearts as we carry this love together.
Our last hymn today is from our new online group of songs, We Will Carry Each Other. The words will be up here. And it's a great time to remember that we don't have to do this work alone, that we are a community and we're parts of many communities. So would you please rise, embody your spirit, and sing with me, We Will Carry Each Other. I am looking for shelter in a friend. We can build a beginning, but I do not know the end. I am scared of breaking when I bend. We will carry each other on the way. My courage is your courage when the journey is only getting longer. My strength is your strength. We will carry each other on the way. There are prayers I don't know how. Okay. I am flooding river and I'm living through the doubt. I have firm conviction and my heart is full of doubt. We will carry each other on the way. My courage is your courage when the journey is only getting longer. My strength is your strength. We will carry each other on the way. Okay. Someone stole the other two verses.
Please say these words to me with me as we extinguish our chalice. We extinguish this chalice, but not the warmth of love, the light of truth, or the warmth of our passion, because we carry in our hearts until we meet again. In Julie? There you are.
Good morning. I'm Julie McKenzie, she, her. and I am part of the Committee on Shared Ministries, and here to give you our announcements this morning. We invite you to stay a while after our celebration for casual conversation on Zoom or coffee hour in the fellowship hall. We cherish these moments of connection. You can also stop by the welcome table in our foyer or find links in the chat to help you get involved in this community. You could see me if you want to get involved in this community. I got ideas. Our time together does not begin or end on Sundays. Throughout the week, there are many opportunities for spiritual growth, service, and friendship. And here's one such opportunity. The Lifespan Faith Formation Council exists to nurture and cultivate small group spiritual explorations for all ages 0 to 99. This year has seen many new spiritual exploration opportunities centered on the needs of adults, as well as attendance growth in Sunday Morning Wonder Lab, which centers on the needs of children and youth. We're looking for a few new members, and it's a great time to join the council to continue the momentum into the new year. Our first meeting will be in late August or early September. Contact Gwen Murphy, from whom we just heard, at LFF, capital C, small o, chairs at bvuuf.org for more information. Have a lovely holiday weekend and see you at coffee hour.
Benediction. We invite you to come forward or to join in by your elbows or hands or whatever we need to do to connect with our community. So, I had asked Tad to play the Battle Hymn of the Republic as our closing song. And we could not get that arranged in the arrangement that I wanted. So there are two versions of arrangements for the Battle Hymn of the Republic, and I want to ask you to take a moment to seek them out. Because there are both the triumphant, and then there's the meditative reflective, which I believe gives meaning to the more of what Julia Ward Howe was writing when she wrote it. And also, we began this service with Julia Ward Howe. I also want to remind you that when she wrote, after writing the Battle Hymn of the Republic, she later wrote how she regretted it. So when we sing that song, or we hear it, I want to remind you that it is a song of reflection by a woman who, when she wrote the poem, read the poem. And just remember that it's something, as we can all do in our world, is we can hold two things at one time, right? We can hold something that we respect and also have regret. So as we end this service, maybe go forward with these words. These are not from Julia Ward Howe. I am not that good. But carry with you the stories of those who came before, not as burdens, but as lanterns. Let them remind you that courage has lived here before, that compassion has survived impossible seasons, that ordinary people again and again have chosen care over cruelty and hope over despair. May you go into this world willing to notice one another, willing to carry each other's joys, willing to celebrate. I am not Julia Ward Howe. Willing to carry each other's sorrows, willing to celebrate each other's joys. And when the world feels fractured and weary, may you remember we belong to each other. So go not now alone, but connected. May the road rise to meet you. May peace accompany you. May the work of justice and compassion continue through you. long after this hour has ended. Amen. Amin. Ashe. Shalom. Salam. Namaste. And blessed be. Please be seated. We have music, and we're way short compared to what I usually run, so I ask you to stay. We'll go back.